Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. That was weird. I was getting a little echo. I had a YouTube page open and it was copying the intro. But anyway, back here, normal now. Welcome Friday afternoon, TED Talks Ball edition. But really, it's Bash and Ted's Friday 3 p.m. adventure. We're just a little bit late. Had some technical difficulties getting started here, but we're here now. We got to figure out what to call the show, Bash.
Yeah, we may have to run a poll on Twitter or do something.
Yeah,
those Twitter polls are pretty active these days, as you can see. So,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, it could be Ted minded. It could be that's too much about me though.
I know. Oh, that's okay. We can throw the Ted
Could
and
be
Bash.
Could be ball minded.
Ted and Bash. I don't know. We got to come up with something. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Ball minded sounds kind of dirty.
My creative juices aren't really flowing at the moment. But it's always great to go live with you. And I appreciate you contacting me and had some busy stuff going on. And lo and behold, I ran into some free time. I was like, okay, let's go live. Let's do it.
Do it now. Kill
now
me.
To go to the choppers.
The choppers. So yeah, Brian Culp came in early, 2:30. Thanks, Brian, for the early hey Ted and Bashar. Bebop Jones, woot woot, go Niners. Thanks, Bebop. Good to see you. Next shift. I'm not sure if I know next shift, and if I do, I apologize. He said, what's good, bro? He's here. Thanks for joining. We appreciate you being here. We got Ryan coming to us from Bash's channel.
What's up, Ryan?
What up, everyone? And just everybody who's in different channels, Simon and Kiss here too from Bash's channel, saying hey Ted and Bashar. I'm going to try and show all the chats so that we don't have to feel like we have to switch back and forth or that you guys are missing out. So that I'm going to even show where they're just sort of saying hi to each other, that type of thing. Bashing with the Niners. That's kind of a good one. I like that.
Okay. I feel like I'm leaving you out though. I feel like a Ted has to be in there somewhere.
What about a Rocky Horror Picture Show, like Ballroom Bash? What about a Ted Room Bash? You know, is that kind of that's too weird?
That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Ted Room Bash. I don't know.
It's just an odd movie. I never saw it all the way through. I remember
seeing some random. Everybody. You want to see it's really weird? Go see it in a theater where there's like all kinds of people dressed up.
People all dressed up,
and they're like playing the different parts, and like when they say it's time for a toast, and people all throw toast up in the air.
Yeah, actually, that would make it fun. Actually, I'd probably laugh at that, even though I think the movie's weird and not my type of movie. But that would make it fun. People know the lines. They acted out in front of you.
Bash saying, yo, people. Probably everybody saw that.
What's up, Horace? I haven't seen you in a long time. He's all the way in Qatar in the Middle East, by the way. He's from California, but he lives out there. He's far away from California. So
there we go. Let's see. Hit the like and subscribe. Yes, both for me and for Bash. Please do that, folks. Every single one helps us. We're on the quest to 1,000. Bash is getting close, too. Where are you at now, Bash? For subscribers,
961. I stopped counting a long time ago.
We could do that soon. Brian Culp back in the house after the early visit. Here's live Shaka. Thank you, appreciate that, Brian.
And let me ask you this, Ted. Did you ever see the Super Mario Brothers movie? I thought
Bash that question and Ted talked with the Niners.
Bash and Ted talk.
I don't want to get bashed, man. No, that's fine. What were you saying, Bash? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if you saw the Super Mario Brother movie, but if you did, I was curious if you saw it or not.
No, I'm not a big Mario movie guy, but I don't know. I heard it was pretty cool. Didn't you? Didn't I hear you talking about it? About how
I talked about it a bit. Well, I saw
4D entertainment. I'm remembering you telling me it sounds really cool.
If you have a chance to see an upcoming movie played in 4DX, because I know in the South Bay when I live down there, they don't have it in San Jose, but I believe they have it in the Peninsula. So that's a little closer to you, maybe. But if you have a chance to see any action movie whatsoever, I mean, you're gonna watch a movie basically with like motorized seats that move all over the place and air blasts will just like if a rocket blasts in the movie, you'll feel a huge air blast go right by your ear, and they spray water spritzers and fog and scents. You'll smell out. It's a crazy experience. I know they had Guardians of the Galaxy in 4DX recently, but I didn't check it out. But they do have action movies, and it's an awesome experience. Like I usually watch movies at home. I just do pay-per-view movies or whatever. But going to the theaters in 4DX is like a way different experience. It's crazy.
Nice, nice. Next Shift is explaining he's part of this Hardcore Sports Network that I've joined. In fact, we're streaming to the Hardcore Sports Network.
Oh,
It's
okay,
one of the
okay.
destinations I streamed. I
Check
streamed
those
to
guys
TED
out.
Talks Ball on YouTube, and then I was doing Let's Talk Sports for a long time. Still doing that. Who's Dan from England, and then the guy from Philly who hates Doc Rivers. He was fired Doc Rivers for a long time. MK are his initials, and I'm blanking on his name, but he started this Hardcore Sports Network, or he's a big part of it. He invited me in, so
Okay.
thanks for joining Next Shift. I
That's the
appreciate it. And
Sports
I
Network guys.
apologize for not recognizing you better, but I think it might be your first time here as an audience member. David Yang in the house, and the boys are back to work. Indeed, we are.
David Yin
I've,
Yang twins.
I've definitely been taking a little bit of a break lately. I was doing 2-3 shows a day for a long time, and now I'm doing more like 2-3 a week. So slowing down a little bit. It's a good time to slow down anyway with the off season. But also, I was told that maybe the algorithm doesn't like it too much if you oversaturate it. People get too many alerts; they just mute them. Whatnot. There's Mitch Kofsky. Thank you. So Mitch is the Hardcore Network founder. So that's it. He's saying, "What's up, bro? Not much, Mitch. Better now that you're here." And Next Shift too. I don't know if you saw Next Shifts in the house. So thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. So Bash, what should we talk about? I mean, the hot news of the day is DeAndre Hopkins got released by the Arizona Cardinals. Everybody thought he was going to get traded, and lo and behold, he's a free agent out on the market. He can pick wherever he goes. So where do you think he will go? Where do you think he wants to go? Do we want him? If you're as a 49ers fan, do you want DeAndre Hopkins? What are your
I
thoughts?
would love to have DeAndre Hopkins as a 49er. Now, this is news to me because earlier today, I barely touched Twitter. We're talking from about 8 o'clock till now. 8 o'clock till now, I haven't been on Twitter. And the only thing I saw maybe at 7 o'clock in the morning was a tweet where they showed DeAndre Hopkins. No, sorry, it showed a clip of Tom Brady throwing to Randy Moss, and it was like, oh, this could be Patrick Mahomes to DeAndre Hopkins. And I was thinking to myself, why would somebody say that? So now that you're telling me that he's freaking released, DeAndre Hopkins was one of my favorite wide receivers, perhaps my favorite wide receiver that was not a 49er player before he went to the Cardinals. So I would love to get him, but I don't think we are going to get him. we're the last team that hops on these big name players when they're available. But Shanahan and Lynch are completely in love with them, and they feel like it's feasible. Who knows? You never know. And we do have that money saved up, right? I forgot
Yeah,
what
we got
money.
10. We got 10 million for this season right now, just sitting around, and that's before we extend Bosa. Right now we're set to pay Bosa about 17 and a half this season. If we extend him, drop that down to a vet min, and just pay like a fifth of his bonus, so say it's a $40 million bonus, that's $8 million a year. You get 9 million instead of 17.5. You save $8.5 million that way. So maybe we might have more like 18.5 million available. Now, again, it's not all available because 5 or 6 of that you're going to need to save for operating costs. So, but still, that's still $12+ million, and it could be even more than that of throwing around money. I think D Hop's going to want a little bit more than that especially if it was a single year deal. But you never know. You never know what could happen. I mean, as much as I love Juwan Jennings, uh, you know,
Oh, that's a
uh,
no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. DeAndre Hopkins would be a huge upgrade. And somebody said here in the tweets, they said, "Oh, here, I'm on it." Damian Lee said, "Implosion of the Cardinals." Yeah, it is. But before we start celebrating too much, keep in mind that this might be, it's not like they have to do this. They're doing this on purpose to tank, and they're probably doing it so that they can get Caleb Wilson from USC. So while it's great news for 2023 for us, we should definitely sweep the Cards this year. 2024 and onward, it could be bad news if Caleb Williams turns out to be a great NFL QB. I never bet on USC quarterbacks, but nonetheless, he's looked pretty good while he's been there.
I had Dion on my show yesterday, and we were referencing some 49er fans who were completely in love with Sam Darnold. And Dion went on this rant. Dion for 90 Game Podcast, shout out to him. He went on this huge rant about how he just thinks USC quarterbacks are trash and garbage. So maybe the pattern continues. Who knows?
Maybe I'll have to do a different poll then, because right now I did a poll today, Bash. I was telling you a little bit backstage. I said if all four quarterbacks for the 49ers are healthy and ready, who should start week one? And I put Lance first, Purdy second, Darnold, and I misspelled Darnold's name. I put it Drainold, so maybe that's part of the problem.
At least you didn't call him Donald. A lot of people used to call him Sam Donald on Niner fans.
Yeah, no, exactly. So Drainold, and then Brandon Allen was fourth, and that honestly is like my kind of dream, sequence would be Lance QB1, Purdy backup, Darnold emergency QB, and Brandon Allen practice squad are just gone. But right, the results surprised me that Lance is leading 49%, and Purdy's at 45%. Darnold way down at 1.5. I think that's Mike Andrews must have chimed in there on that one. I know he loves Sam Darnold. And then Brandon Allen is actually ahead of Darnold at 3.9%. So maybe what I need to do tomorrow is do another poll where it's like, okay, Purdy will not start week one. He's going to go on IR or, PUP or whatever. No chance Purdy starts week one. Then who's QB2? And just put Lance and, well, I guess I'll put all three, because if Allen's winning this one, he deserves a spot in the next one, I suppose. But
And for the record, Brandon Allen is a pretty good signing. I mean, we're not expecting him to really do much for our team, but say he's a guy we can stash on our practice squad along with whoever. I mean, it's not a bad thing, the idea to keep him. But then Cholo's talking about refrigerator Perry. I see that.
Cholosaurus, I like that one. That's
Cholosaurus. What a name! That's a cool name. We got to come up with a cool name for our show. But it's all good.
know we do.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting poll that you had that Lance is in the running. I thought Purdy would be in the running, to be honest, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean he is. They're close, but it's just I just figured Purdy would be maybe 2-1 over Lance if he's healthy to start week one, since Kyle and everybody. But I mean, I guess it's not who will start week one; it's who should. And I guess a lot of people agree with me, which is like we need to figure out what we got in Lance. And also, we're gonna have the way to have the strongest QB room is to let Lance play some. The worst thing I think we could do is to let Purdy play all season. Then he gets hurt towards the end of the season. All of a sudden, you got to stick Lance in there, and he hasn't gotten much better. Or maybe he's gotten a little bit better playing the scout team or whatever, but certainly not as much better as he get by playing games, real live games with live fire. So it's interesting. Dave Yang says, I think we need to just hold on the extra cap for mid-season move. If there's a move that can help us put us over the top. Yeah, I mean, having that cash, into the season to the trade deadline makes some sense. We may need a right tackle. We may need a defensive end. We may need to make a midseason trade. We'll see. It could be something we haven't even thought of. But those are two that pop out to me. What do you think, Bash, as far as positions that might need addressing at the midseason trade deadline?
I don't think they'll do anything at the midseason trade deadline, but then again, this team will always surprise you. So, I kept thinking if they were holding on to this money to get one of the pass rushers, if one of the pass rushers were to be released. But, obviously, and then, then you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. That is a very surprising and shocking move as well. But I don't know if the 49ers are going to go that route. See Panama Queen here. So she says, Bash and Ted.
Yes, I'm getting down there. Thank you, Panama Queen. Welcome. And then we got Bryant saying, hit the like button, everyone. I was stuck on Bebops here because, I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but what if we called ourselves the Bash Brothers? Kind of like Canseco and McGuire back in the day, the A's.
That's funny. I used to go to those games where the Bash Brothers were the thing back when the A's were the hot ticket in town. And it sounds like they're going to Las Vegas now, so feel bad for the
I don't hate that name at all. Anyway, because he said Brother Bash, I'm like, what if we just flip that and make it the Bash Brothers? I don't know. It's food for thought.
We'll see. We'll see.
Write it down.
I feel like I'm stealing the show.
I'll forget all this stuff.
I want something that includes both of us. But
I don't really care as long as it's catchy. Honestly,
that's true. That is very, very true.
I don't care if it's got my name in it, because people will figure it out when they watch. I figure so. That's all that really matters. So with DeAndre Hopkins, if we beat that, where do we think he'll go? I mean, a lot of people think the Chiefs, but apparently the Chiefs already talked to him and they said his number would have to come way down, which is expectable. It's like the Chiefs has to be the most attractive spot for him, right? You got Patrick Mahomes throwing to you. You're clearly the number one wide receiver. I mean, unless you say Kelsey's number one, but still you're the number one person called a wide receiver on the Chiefs. and all that good stuff. Whereas any of these other teams where you go, if you go to the Bills, you got Diggs, who's probably ahead of D Hop nowadays, Stephon Diggs. If you go, what are some of the other teams that have been named? The Eagles, clearly, what's his name? AJ Brown is, I think, a better receiver anymore than DeAndre Hopkins. I think he'd still be wide receiver one. Some other names I've seen. Those are some of the big ones.
I don't want them to go to our division. Well, I mean, we had them in our division with the Cardinals, but the Cardinals suck. But I wouldn't want.
Some people.
I don't see.
Some people are saying the Jets. The Jets or Bills would make me happy.
Okay. Yeah,
because keep them out of the NFC West. Keep them out of the NFC. I like the Bills. I don't hate the Jets.
Josh Allen with DeAndre Hopkins, that would be scary though.
Yeah, it would. Well, and Stephon Diggs, and they have that third receiver who's pretty good too. Well, it's hot and cold. Let me catch up on the chats here.
Sure.
Sure. Fernando Starback says, I'd say Bills, Ted. We got Collie Young in the house. What it do, faithful? What's up, Collie? Thanks for joining. Or Jets. Yeah, that was one that I saw that made some sense. I mean, the Jets have got so many good receivers, but definitely if Garrett Wilson is better than D-Hop, then he's probably the only one. They got Lazard. They got Mecole Hardman. They got Corey Davis. Then they'd probably get rid of Mims, who they drafted a few years back.
When you say Corey Davis, I'm thinking of the Corey Davis that we know.
No, Corey Davis, the ex-Titan, who's been a Jet.
I remember him. I remember him coming out of the draft. Yeah,
he's pretty good. Certainly no AJ Brown, who he played with there.
I like AJ Brown a lot, by the way. I wish.
Yeah, he's good.
We would have gotten him coming out of the draft, but you can't get everybody.
He's a lot like Debo, maybe a little bit better route runner, maybe not quite as violent, but kind of tomato potato. You could kind of say either one's pretty good. Damian Lee chiming in says if Hopkins went to the Ravens, that is another one I saw. Definitely, I think the Ravens are getting a little wide receiver saturated, though, aren't they? Because they've got Mark Andrews, they got Zay Flowers, who they just drafted, who is one of the top wide receivers in this draft, supposedly. I'm not a draft expert, so I'm going to rely on others who are. But also, they obviously picked up OBJ, and if he's healthy, he's still definitely not a top receiver, but maybe a real good wide receiver too. But it's a lot of mouths to feed all of a sudden on the Ravens when in the past they've liked to run a lot with Greg Roman. I don't know. Maybe they'll start to have more of a dynamic offense for Lamar. I'd love to see that happen. I think Lamar's a really good QB. When Ravens, come after us about our QBs, I'll call him a running back, but I don't really feel that way about him. That's just kind of, toxic timeline Teddy banter.
Yeah. We all know about you on Twitter,
Chad. I definitely can get a little salty on there. Drop back with Deshaun Watson. That's another one. Yeah, Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins obviously have a lot of chemistry together from the Texans. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Did you see that clip of Deshaun Watson in that Browns practice where he just looked terrible? There's a little clip on Twitter that was floating around, and I typed on the caption. I typed on the response to the video I put. Oh man, well, once they put on that Browns uniform, careers just go down south.
And he's just been away for a long time. It could take him a while to get back into it, and there's a chance he may never will. Right? He may just have lost the edge after all this time and all the distraction, the lawsuits. Guilty conscience. Who knows?
He actually wanted to be a 49er from what I was hearing from a few people. So
yeah, and I'm not saying he's guilty because nobody knows, but boy, it sure looks that way.
Whereas there's smoke, there's fire, and there's plenty of smoke. Sure, that's the problem.
There's 23 smokes or 26 smokes. Got to be a fire somewhere. That's the way I feel. But again, nobody knows but him and those girls, I suppose. So, what else we got? So, other stuff going on this week. There's a lot of talk, obviously, about the 49ers quarterback situation, about Lance's mechanics. It looks like he's improved his mechanics some, and he's tightened up his release. He's not having such a loopy, low backswing or take back, and he's putting a better spiral on the ball. He's not straightening his front leg. He's bending it. And some people are feeling like he's looks like he's maybe not gotten to his ceiling of how good he can get, but he's made some big strides, and maybe halfway there. I don't know. I saw a quarterback expert on with Grant Cohn. I don't know if
I
you saw
saw that
that
guy
one.
too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't watch
he
the
was
whole
pretty
thing. I just saw
good.
some bits of it.
He was pretty good. He cursed a lot, but I felt like he had some good
Oh well,
points.
I curse a lot too. Not today, but on my show I do.
Yeah, there you go.
I was
But
gonna say though,
ultimately,
yeah, I mean, I know Larry Krueger was out there and he was saying that like last year he saw Lance throw some wobbly passes every now and then. He said he threw a lot less of those this time around, and I'm not a quarterback guru when it comes to watching mechanics. Unlike half the people on Twitter who all think they're quarterback coaches. If you see their comments, they'll just tear Lance's release to shreds as if they're the second coming of Bill Walsh, which is ridiculous. But
yeah.
you could just tell it looks tighter, more compact. You could definitely tell it looks different and more refined. So hopefully that translates to good play on the field.
I think it will. I mean, I think it's what we've all been hoping for a while. I think that the avulsion fracture and the index finger in his throwing hand hurt him a lot. I remember when it happened, I asked an orthopedic surgeon in my family about those things, and the surgeon was telling me basically like they're really tricky. They're a 4 to 6 week recovery, but if you re-injure it again during that 4 to 6 weeks, it can last for months or even a year or longer. And then it was really interesting that it came up that in the next camp it was still an issue, and I was like, oh man, he must have re-injured it. And so I wasn't surprised to hear that. Was, I guess, the best way to put it. And I've been looking around for the tweet because I'm pretty sure I tweeted it, but so far I haven't been able to figure out the right search parameters. I haven't spent a lot of time doing it, but I definitely want to dig up that tweet because I'll be like, I remember when I warned people that this thing could be a lot more serious than it sounded.
Oh, okay.
But all those things hurt Lance, and so it's just good to see him making progress, and I just can't wait to see him with CMC and Kittle and all the full weapons that Purdy had, and then we can make a real accurate comparison of the two. Whereas people are like, oh, what does he need, like Jerry Rice and prime Randy Moss to
Oh
be
my
good? And
gosh,
I'm like, no, he
these
doesn't
people are
need
so
that.
negative.
But honestly, it's pretty easy to argue that CMC is the most valuable piece in our offense now, in Kyle's offense. He's the most indispensable piece of that offense. Like, when he started, we were 12-0 with CMC. 4-0 with Jimmy and 8-0 with Purdy. So until Purdy got hurt. So pretty hard to argue that he isn't the most important piece to that offense right now.
And they were saying that CMC was the catalyst of the OTAs. Like he looked electric out there. He looked the most energetic that they've ever seen him. And back to Larry Krueger. Larry Krueger saw him a lot at the Stanford during the Stanford days, at the Stanford practices, and he said he looked more energetic. That's the most energetic basically he's seen CMC in a practice. So hopefully he calms down a little bit though. I don't want him to go too crazy in practice and get injured or anything like that. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah. And ultimately, I'm going to fix my mic here. So as far as that goes with being in camp and looking really good, interesting that Debo's not in camp. And not that he necessarily needs to be, but do you worry at all that he might show up out of shape, or do you think he's doing everything he needs to do to get into shape just like he would if he was at OTAs?
I forgot who mentioned it. I was talking to somebody on one of the live streams on here, and they supposedly were mentioning that Debo was looking like he's slimming down a bit. So take it for what it is. Hopefully he watches himself a bit because this is the NFL and teams are gunning for you, and you can have that big crazy year that Debo had, but he didn't necessarily follow it up with a crazy year either after he got his bag. So he's got to show and prove himself. We know you got your money, but we're try to prime yourself to have another huge year, and that could carry us to the Super Bowl. So, and we want to win a Super Bowl, so he's got to do what's best for himself and for the team. So, if he takes a little rest from OT, I'm not really too worried. But definitely when people have to be there, when it's mandatory, he better be showing up, and he better show up in shape. Not this crap that I hear about some other players that aren't showing up in shape. That's kind of weak.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, obviously last year people were unhappy with Debo because he was out of shape, but he had to do that. Well, he didn't have to, but it was smart of him to do that with no guaranteed money. When he needed to get his extension, if he had gotten hurt, it could have affected his paycheck. And the year before that, he was actually working out before OTAs with the Footwork King, and that's where he broke his foot to get that Jones fracture in his foot. So it leads me to believe, I kind of believe it. And actually, I asked Raj about it yesterday, and Raj was just like, "Oh no, I know people that know, and he's totally working out. It's no problem." I'm like, "Oh, good," because I just hadn't seen anything like that on Twitter. And so if Raj says it, I think that's probably about as good as gold.
Raj is an awesome resource, by the way, because he not only has a sports physical therapy background, which is the profession he works in, but I'm not dropping any names, but he's got a lot of ties to the team, man. He gets a lot of info that a lot of us would love to have. And every now and then we're lucky enough for him to leak some of that info to us. And he's told me plenty of things I've never aired on YouTube, but because we trust each other,
There you go. That's good. That's good. Hope to get to that level with him someday too. D Shift is saying, is there a new RT? Is the new RT going to be better than McGlinchey? I mean, I think McKivitz will probably be a better pass blocker. I don't think he'll be as good of a run blocker. So will he be better? It's possible. But I wouldn't, I would say don't bet your rent money on it. McGlinchey got 17.5 mil from the Broncos per year in a multi-year deal. And we played McKivitz 4.5 for 2 years. That's just 2.25 per year. So, I mean, yeah, money isn't everything. It doesn't tell the whole story necessarily, but I'd be pretty surprised if, and actually he was restricted. So maybe again, then it really doesn't tell the whole story. I don't know. Some people are saying, I heard Mayoko today say he wouldn't be surprised if McKivitz was better than McGlinchey overall. He was on Larry Krueger today. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't bet. The one big concern with McKivitz is injuries, but what are your thoughts, Bash?
Yeah, McKivitz, when we first drafted him, and then the few times I saw him play, I was never really that thrilled about the guy. And I know he played here and there in spot duty a little bit, and some people thought he looked very good. Some people thought otherwise, and I just thought, why throw all of our eggs in one basket with this guy? When I saw DeJuan Jones available, and here we are drafting Jake Moody, I'm scratching my head. But then I had a feeling like, okay, well, you know what am I thinking? Shanahan's never going to draft a DeJuan Jones type guy, especially when he was supposedly tipping the scales closer to 400 pounds at the combine and didn't want to be weighed. And it was another Trent Brown type situation that was blooming. So, we had Trent Brown and we got rid of him because Shanahan didn't like him because he was overweight, but he ended up doing good with the Patriots. With that said, though, I mean, I just wanted to challenge McKivitz. I didn't want them to just hand McKivitz the job, especially since we just lost McGlinchey. But looks like they're confident in their decision. So, I guess I'll be okay with it as long as he pans out. And I will. And a lot of Niner fans were speculating, oh, well, we got this Feliciano guy who's played all across the line. He started 15 games last year. And, why not just maybe if McKivitz doesn't pan out, they can have Feliciano in at right guard, and then Spencer Burford play right tackle. And Burford has beefed up a bit too. And they says he looks stronger, more muscular, and more faster and more explosive early on. So I don't know if he could. I've never seen the guy play tackle though either. So the right tackle question mark is there. It's definitely a concern.
Yeah, a little bit. The guy who asked the question, D Shift, he's actually a Cowboys fan, so I guess it's like Dallas Shift maybe. He says, as a Cowboys fan, my only hope is that y'all's O-line takes a step back because y'all's D-line is kind of scary. Yeah, now that we had Hargrave, Drake Jackson coming in his second year should be better. Our D-line should be pretty good. We'll see. I mean, knock on wood, as long as Bosa can stay healthy and Hargrave, those are two of the big keys, Armstead. But D-Shift, I would kind of return the compliment and say Dallas's D-line is awfully good too. They had Purdy on the run all through that divisional round game. We only scored 19 points, and some of it was just due to that, fingertip circus catch that Kittle pulled off. But ultimately, that catch could have gone either way really easily.
I need to go back and watch that catch. I forgot what it looked like.
Oh, dude, it was like he tipped it, and then Trayvon Diggs went right in front of him, could have totally taken him out, and he tipped it again, and then he caught it and came to the ground. It was like a double or triple tip over 10 or 15 yards. It was incredible circus catch, and that was one of the keys to the game. Another key to the game was Tony Pollard breaking his ankle. Some people said that Jimmy Ward was dirty the way he tackled him. That kind of, we got him from behind. He ball on their ankle, kind of like what
Yeah.
happened to Jimmy G in the Dolphins game. I said it was
Dolphins
dirty
game.
when that Dolphins defender put his knee right on Jimmy's foot as he was tackling him from behind. Kind of a similar motion. And the NFL supposedly this offseason was looking into maybe, putting some rules in place around that. I don't think they did, but it's up to say. But I mean, if Pollard had stayed healthy, I'd say that's a way different game with us and the Cowboys. For sure. David Yang said Devo just didn't get the opportunities last year. He's still just as deadly. I mean, I think he's still just as deadly when he's in shape. I just don't think he got into shape for a lot of last year. Like there was the Rams game, he had that great TD week 4 Monday Night Football. And there were a few other real good plays that he had. Obviously the one against the Seahawks in the playoffs and the wild card game, he had like that 74-yard, short catch that he took to the house. But I think he only had 2 TDs during the regular season receiving. So
it would be nice to see Debo work on his route running and do things that more conventional receivers do. He does that outrageous stuff, that big play stuff. I get it, but just to have him do regular, typical wide receiver type plays in regards to his route running would be nice. If you could just add that as a part of his arsenal,
Donald Johnson saying, I believe the refs are harder on us than other teams we've played. I think they're just hard on teams that are winning or that they think are going to win because they want to keep the scores close. They want to keep people from changing the channel. There's probably some more reasons. I think they don't like the Eddie DeBartolo years where we, spent more than other teams and won the 5 rings. And I think there's a political thing too, where, Goodell and the owners are very hardcore conservative, and the Bay Area is very liberal.
A liberal market, liberal ownership.
I think that could be part of it too. I think any of those things, could play into it. There's lots of reasons. Go back to Fernando. He said, "Do you think Lance has a chance to be the starting QB1?" I mean, if you're asking if Purdy's healthy, does he? I don't think so. Do I think he should? Yes. I think Lance should start the season whether Purdy's healthy or not, because I think Lance needs to get experience. We need to know what we have in him. You don't want to buy high and sell low, especially you don't want to sell low and then go watch Lance hit his ceiling on another team. Kyle would never live it down. If he turned into an elite quarterback for someone else after we let him go, it would be very embarrassing to me, I think.
Yeah, I just, and again, I'm going back to Twitter because just there's fans that are completely enamored with Purdy, and hey, he put out those 8 games and he looked great in those 8 games. But I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Purdy, but we did see, like you mentioned in the Cowboy game, how we didn't put up 35 points, right? Teams, you could tell teams were catching on to Purdy a bit towards the end. You could sense that now. And nothing wrong with Purdy in regards to that. It's just that, team, that hot streak, and it looked like teams were kind of figuring out what he's doing in terms of, which side of the field he likes to roll out to. But at the end of the day, I mean, you could be enamored with him and argue and say, you could say Trey Lance is trash, Trey Lance is garbage, blah, 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 whatever you want on Twitter, and say Purdy and crown Purdy all you want. But even if he is that guy, you can crown him, but he's the guy with the messed up elbow that he's recovering from. I mean, we don't know that he's still going to be the guy that he was last year. And some guys are just typing away, speaking in absolutes like, oh, he's going to be better. He's going to be better, but he's still coming off an injury. And don't you want to have an insurance policy like Lance? Lance was drafted 3rd overall. Maybe Lance, with all this work with Jeff Christensen, the quarterback coach, who works with Patrick Mahomes, and with his endorsement for Patrick Mahomes, and we saw the improved release, maybe Trey Lance has stepped up after year 3, and he is that guy. Certain players blossom in their 3rd year. We've seen other quarterbacks do. Was it, Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre all those years. People bitch and moan about Trey Lance. Oh, well, he's never played, so he's never going to be good because he has no experience. But, how much did Aaron Rodgers play before he came out and became the starter after Brett Favre retired? So, my point is, don't throw all your eggs in one basket with Purdy. It's a huge mistake if you do so. And, see what you have in Lance, see what he's got. And even if they were to compete and they're both healthy, why not? Why not do it that way and see who the best man is? And if Purdy comes out on top, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. At least you find out, for a fact you know for sure who the best quarterback is on your team.
Yeah, give Purdy more chance to rehab, maybe increase his arm strength instead of decrease it from this injury. Fernando's saying, I feel like the 49ers are rushing Purdy back. He won't be 100%. And I mean, I feel like they're a little bit, they're trying to a little bit, where Kyle is like, oh, I hope he's ready for week one, or no reason why he can't be ready for week one. And Purdy's just like I'm not going to put a date on it. You know, Purdy's just like, you're not going to rush me. I'm not going to put a date on it until it's time. And so that's why when people tell me when Purdy's going to start, I'm like, you tell me when Purdy said that, right? Then I'll listen. Until then, it's all just, mumbo jumbo, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what else we got? So catching up here. Oh, wait, Collie had something I wanted to go back to. He said, in my opinion, we still need more depth at edge. I'm very excited to see Drake Jackson. Yeah, and with edge, there's still edge players out there that are available. So if we get through camp and we decide we want somebody, Leonard Floyd's out there. The one from the Chiefs, I'm blanking on his name, with the character issues.
Frank Clark.
Frank Clark is out there.
He's a dog. He's got some miles on him, but he's a dog though.
Ngakoue is out there. So there's still some options at defensive end in free agency. And then also if we say, no, we're still good and we go into the season, then during the season we realize we're not good, then like I said, we could always trade for somebody by the deadline.
Is Justin Houston still available?
I think he is. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen him be signed, but he may not be a big enough name that, the big guys would all trumpet it either. He might be a type where it might be a lesser than, besides Ian and Adam Schefter are two of the big ones I pay attention to a lot. Let's see here. David says, I believe they need to compete. You shouldn't give the job to anyone. They need to earn it. Yeah, I think that's true. I just think that with Purdy and Lance, there's a sort of unusual situation where, Purdy, I think we've seen what he can do. I think he can improve a little bit, but I don't think we're going to see any quantum shift from Purdy. Whereas Lance, I think we're going to see like just coming up. So I could see a situation where Lance is improving and you put Lance in anyway, even if he's still a little bit lower, with the idea that like, hey, he'll probably be better soon. That's the one time I would say where, even if you hadn't quote unquote earned it just yet, if you see it coming, and it's close, then I could see where, you might go with the guy.
And a lot of people do, like you said, a lot of people do need to realize, like, as nice as Purdy looked out there, don't expect him to like graduate and step into elite status. It's very rare that a quarterback of Purdy's stature and his limited abilities is gonna, step up and be on the elite level. It just rarely ever happens.
No doubt about it. Davey Yang saying everyone should be rooting for trade at his ceiling because it's so high. But if he doesn't, it's a damn good thing we have Brock and Sam. Absolutely.
We didn't talk about Sam Darnold yet. Some people think he's QB1.
Not many. Like I said in that poll, who should start? 1.5%. So
okay. Lance, so the reality came out in the poll, huh?
Well, no, it's just people think should start. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I need to do another one where it's like, okay, Purdy won't be ready week one. Who should start? And we'll see if more Darnold truthers show up for that. Because like maybe they're all voting for Purdy if Purdy's available, but then if Purdy's not, they'll shift to Darnold, those types. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Low the Truth says, we know how Purdy will play when all the teams have film on him. Who knows? Yeah, nobody knows. I mean, that's what I think. I think Purdy will improve a little, and I think the DCs will get better at defending him. It may just cancel out, or maybe a modest improvement or a modest. I don't think that he'll end up being bad, and I don't think he'll end up being great. I think is just the best way to put it about Purdy. I think we've seen most of what we'll get, but we'll see. We'll see. What do you think, Bash?
In terms of how good Purdy can be?
I mean, do you see him improving a lot from?
I don't see him getting too much better. And you can call me a hater or all you want, but what he did last year was really, really. I mean, the stats he was putting up, it was at a pretty high level, So and it looked pretty good.
Especially like
not the guy that's going to throw a 70-yard touchdown pass either, though.
No,
Yeah.
no. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, the way he was going to get better was by going to OTAs and camp and preseason, right? I mean, by getting better synchronization with our weapons, and mostly that happens through practice. Through in the off season is where the big leaps usually are made and that kind of thing. And so, that's another reason why it'll be tougher for Purdy to take a big jump this year, I think. But and I guess when you bring up not going to throw 70 yards. Yeah, I agree. Purdy's got a limited arm. He's got limited height, and he's got limited top speed in running. He's very quick, but doesn't get going real fast after that.
I love his awareness.
Where do you stand on Dink and Dunk Gate, Bash?
Oh, the Dink and Dunk thing. Yeah, that was between Ryan Hensley and Larry.
And
Krieger.
Larry,
they go back and forth.
Big kerfuffle on Larry's show.
I'll give him more credit than a Dink and Dunk quarterback. He's a dink. He can dink and dunk with the best of them, you can say, right? But he also has the intermediate throws down. More so the Jimmy.
Yeah, those 10 to 20 yarders are really good.
Like I'd put Jimmy easily in the dink and dunk category, and I'd put Purdy definitely a notch above the dink and dunk category as well. But I wouldn't call him dink and dunk. That's not the first thing I think of when it comes to.
And I wouldn't either. I think his arm is limited. I think his height is limited. I think his top speed is limited. But dink and dunk is more what I think of Jimmy. I think, Purdy does too many of those 10 to 20 yards where it like gets people out of the box. That's the main thing. Like dink and dunk means like everybody's in the box because there's no fear of you throwing it over their head. Now, there's no fear of you throwing it way over their head with Purdy, but just a little bit is all it takes, and he can do that. So I'm with you 100%. Right. Collie's saying, will Trey keep that same throw motion once the bullets start flying? Legit question and legit concern. A lot of times people change their motions in camp and they get back into the live fire and their muscle memory kicks in and they do what they've done. The one thing I'll say about Lance is he hasn't done anything for a long time. So I don't think he has that much muscle memory from only 17 college games and 4 pro games. Whereas Purdy has 48 college games and 8 pro games. Whatever he's doing, I think he's more likely to have trouble switching than Lance would with less than half as many starts.
And it's a good question because people can teach you and train you on certain things and you can get this new technique down. But when you have a 300-pound monster breathing down your neck, it's just things change. Things are different,
Kali says Justin Houston would be nice.
I was thinking about Justin Houston as well. I forgot his name at one point, and I was going to bring it up.
Yeah. Also, there's the guy who was just on the Seahawks, who was the former Bengal, who's pretty good. A sort of older guy also. Carlos Dunlap. Carlos Dunlap.
I would have minded him, yeah.
Yeah, he's good too. There's a lot of guys. There's a few guys, 3 or 4 guys like that. Dave Yang says, let Trey get more than a few series in the preseason. I'd like to see him play halves. We really need to see get him mechanics down. That's true. Just like Kali said, one way to help would be, to reinforce the good mechanics is in preseason games before the regular season games. The problem is you can get just as hurt in a preseason game as you can in a regular season game.
The other teams don't care.
Maybe even more so because those guys are just trying to make a roster spot, and they don't care if they get a penalty if they take out Trey Lance. Like hey, I don't know. That might not be the best way to make a team, but these guys may not think that way. They may just be like, I got to do everything I can to make the team, and if someone gets hurt in the process, so be it. I'm gonna. This is my chance for the big time. For the big ticket.
I was gonna say, has anyone ever addressed Shanahan within the past week or so when OTA has been running in these press conferences about in terms of Lance and his usage? Because remember how defensive he was when they brought up Lance running and then in that Seattle game and how he got hurt, and then Kyle Shanahan got ultra defensive and was like, "Oh well, this is how the league is. Have you seen the way they run Josh Allen or the way they run Jalen Hurts?" He was defending that style of play and that's a reckless. I'm sorry, man. Sure, quarterbacks out there have the talent to run and get 600 yards per season, but I'm sorry that's just a reckless way of play calling for a quarterback in the NFL. If you have millions of dollars behind a quarterback in the NFL, I don't see why you have to do that, especially with all these running backs and how successful successful we are at the running game. I don't get it. I don't know if he
Yeah.
addressed if the people brought that up to him though. Has Shanahan addressed it recently or?
I haven't heard him. No, but I mean that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I might have missed it. We'll see. I was
He's
also
gonna,
getting caught in the chat here. Somebody was accusing somebody for being soft for blocking. People are in charge of their own timelines. If someone wants to block, then so be it. And ultimately for me, I warn people at least a couple of 3 times before I block them. But not everybody does. So too bad. Sorry about that. But the person that they were saying was soft for blocking, I like that person a lot. So I'll just say that I believe in them and their character. So we'll see. Anyway, I don't want to take sides, but can you repeat the question to me, Bash, about?
Oh, I was just saying that had anybody addressed to Shanahan in the recent press conferences about the usage of Lance if they're going to run him anymore. Remember how defensive
Shanahan yeah, I don't know.
One time after Lance got hurt.
I don't think anybody's asked, but maybe. Yeah, I doubt that Kyle.
You figure he would have learned his lesson. You figure, but
I mean, I think Kyle kind of felt like he was doing what he was going to do, so I don't think he would really admit to it anyway. I don't know. Kylie's saying Brock can definitely get better. Yeah, he definitely can. I just don't think it's a ton. He can definitely get better. Synchronization with the weapons and learn to step up more in the pocket are 2 things for sure he can do better. Steve Supremo in the house. But Cinnamon Kiss, or no, it wasn't Cinnamon Kiss, it was Panama Queen was saying that she wanted to see Ronnie Bell in camp. Sounds like he's having a really good OTAs for sure. A lot of people are saying he's going to take Juwan Jennings' job. Which
early on, they're saying Ronnie Bell has elite hands. So I'm curious to see how he is. I mean, I know, and he's not built necessarily like your standard NFL wide receiver. Maybe he's a little bit bigger than a Pettis, so to speak, but he's not afraid to make the catch so far. So that's very interesting, and I'm curious to see him. What up, Aaron for 49ers First Takes? See you, bro.
Does anyone think the quote from Celts Chronicles, does anyone honestly think Sam Darnold will start or want to start Sam? Or is that a way to take one? I don't think he's taking jabs at Trey. I do think Celts likes Purdy, but I don't think he's like a Lance hater at all.
Celts like I think he likes Lance. He likes both.
Yeah, I think he likes Lance too. So no, I don't think it's a shot at Lance. I just think it's a shot at Darnold, just like it sounds like. And let's see here. Got that's you. Oh no, it's Aaron. What's up, Aaron? Well, thanks for joining.
49ers First Takes podcast.
That's right, and we do First and Ted every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m., 6:30.
I was going to say you mentioned Kittle earlier. Are you intrigued by the tight end competition?
Yes, definitely, because we got 2 interesting ones with Latu and Braden Willis. I'm also interested in the fullback position. It's not a competition this year, but I think it's going to a competition for next year between maybe Braden Willis or this
Jack Coletto.
Jack Coletto,
the Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. I was like thinking of Jack.
He can do everything. He could play quarterback. He could play fullback, linebacker, tight end. He plays it all. You know what they say? They say Jack of all trades, you're master of none.
Right. And people are trying to compare him to Taysom Hill from the Saints, but Taysom Hill's a lot more athletic. So I'm not sure that he'll ever be Taysom Hill, but he still could be really versatile, really interesting on some trick plays, maybe, or who knows.
I love Taysom Hill's
maybe
set, though.
Maybe
the way
even
he's mobile and the way he can move and all that.
Yeah.
He's a nice
maybe
player.
even an emergency QB. Yeah, I've always wanted to see what Kyle could do with a Taysom Hill of our own.
That'd have been fun to watch if we had him, yeah.
No doubt about it. So what else has been going on this week?
The new kickoff rule.
What about? I think it's a nothing burger. I don't think. I mean, it's too bad. It's more of sort of the sissification of football. But like people were saying, oh, it's gonna. We wouldn't have drafted Moody if we had known that. And I'm like,
I don't think
so.
I think
no, because the problem wasn't like the people were downing our kicks inside the 5. What was happening was they were taking them inside the 5 out to the 35 and 40. And so this rule wouldn't stop that. And so, and I think we still want a kicker who can bang them out, and we know that it's going to be at the 25. Mm-hmm. So, and kick long field goals that Gold couldn't make. So, no, the other one I was thinking of was Jimmy G, out for OTAs and out for camp for the Raiders. Love to get your thoughts.
Surprise, surprise. I mean, when we got Lance and we got Jimmy, and people were trying to say, "Oh, Jimmy wins all these games," and we knew that he wasn't dependable. And what do you know? I mean, I felt bad for him that he got hurt. I get it. But then again, Purdy stepped in, and I wasn't the biggest Jimmy guy after the 2020 season. I was just looking to replace Jimmy, and that was that. But whatever. I mean, at least we had him on a cheap contract last year. We didn't have to overpay him last year, and he's not our problem anymore. He's the Raiders' problem. So
that's exactly what I say. Not a problem. Too bad, Raiders. I'm just kind of bummed because I don't know if we'll get to see Jimmy throw Fred an interception in the joint practices.
Oh yeah, we
preseason game
joint practices now, though. Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anshul from 49ers Media in the house. Everybody check him out.
Media, what's up?
Got a great channel. Puts out great news out on the timeline. So thanks for joining, Anshul. Donald was asking, do you think Danny Gray will have a good season? I think here's what I'll say about Danny Gray. To have a great deep threat receiver, you need a great deep threat QB, and Purdy and Jimmy are not great deep threat QBs. So if Purdy is their starting QB all season, then Danny Gray is probably, I would fade him as far as his season.
Some 49er fans were go ahead.
No, as I say, also if Ronnie Bell does make the 53, like that's probably whose spot he's taken.
True. And last year with Danny Gray, I mean, people were saying that he sucked and he was a weak rookie. But my argument was, well, I think we drafted him to play with Trey Lance is what we did. And when saw that preseason game, within a blink of an eye, Trey Lance throws a freaking 75-yard bomb to him. So, he didn't have the big, strong arm quarterback to play with. So therefore, you didn't really see him on the field. From what I was hearing, that he had to work on his blocking skills or something. So maybe that's something he worked on. And people say that your biggest jump is from year 1 to year 2. So if he doesn't make that jump, then Ronnie Bell's going to be in the mix most likely.
Hey, I'm stupid. Everybody make sure you check in with Aaron tonight on 49ers First Takes. I think it's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. If I'm wrong, put it in the chat, Aaron. He's having Jason Hurley on this evening.
The cap guru?
The 49ers cap guru. So our understanding is we got about 10 million cap, Aaron. And when we restructure, Bosa could be like 7, 8, 9 more in cap that we'll save. And then we probably got to spend 5 or 6 on operating costs for the season, but still leaves us a little chunk for maybe a defensive end or a right tackle or I don't know, whatever ails you, whatever we feel like we need this.
David Yang brought up a good point about Danny Gray. He said Gray needs to be better than just a deep ball guy, if not hit the road. Yeah, I mean, right now what we know of him is he's a one-trick pony. So in this NFL, you have to do more. So
yeah, absolutely, especially run block. I actually didn't like it when Jimmy blamed teammates when he threw interceptions. Yeah, it was always we need to do better, or he actually threw people under the bus. It was never like it's my fault. I take responsibility. That's what great leaders do. Great leaders, they duck the praise and they stand up to the criticism.
The worst thing about Jimmy that pissed me off.
I was just going to say they shield the team from criticism and they duck the praise, so the praise goes to the team. So that's my opinion.
Remember when in that Bronco game, that horrible Bronco game, the debacle in Denver is what I call it. And I believe I don't know if Jimmy threw an interception or if he threw an incomplete pass, but they zoomed in on him and you could read his lips. I think he was saying these plays effing suck. People were trying to figure out what he was saying. But it's like when I saw that, dude, if I was Kyle, dude, I would have just straight up benched him once I found out about that. But that really pissed me off that he was like that. Like, dude, Kyle's like Kyle draws up people open all the time. Like, do not throw it on the coach.
There you go. And Jeff Vander Amsterdam is saying Bosa the constrictor.
I didn't get what he was writing when you.
See constricting the points. Yeah, because I've called him Bosa constrictor before.
Okay.
The Bosa constrictor. And I was saying Drake the rattlesnake Jackson, but he definitely hasn't lived up to that one yet.
I heard
so
Drake.
Hopefully
Man,
this
I heard
season.
Drake's looking to make that big jump, man.
I heard he's rocked up.
Yeah.
Also, I like the thought of Robert Beal as a fast defensive end, Austin Bryant a fast defensive end. So hopefully one of those two guys can add some of that D forward action.
It would just be nice to get that one vet in the mix, though. It would be nice to get that one vet. It doesn't have to be an ultimate high price one, but just have
one Ngakwe. Swing for the fences, baby. Go all in, Kyle. Do it. It's time.
I mean, we got those two Clemson guys. I watched them at Clemson, Clellan Ferrell and Austin Bryant, and they didn't really do much in the NFL. Maybe, and we always have this hope because of Kasarik, right? Maybe he can turn their careers around. So who knows?
No doubt. But hey, we're coming up on an hour here, a little bit after 4. I do have a call that usually starts at 4, so I should probably bounce. And I just want to say thanks, Bash, for making it today. I'm glad we were able to put it together. Thanks everybody from the audience who came today. We appreciate all of you. It's not a great show without great audience interaction, that's for sure. And look forward to seeing you guys. We're going to try and do this most Thursdays at 3 p.m. Oh, speak of the devil, Celts Chronicles must have heard. We were talking about you. Clean shirt, clean jersey, Ted and Bash. Yee! Thanks, Celts. Yee! We appreciate it. Sorry, you're coming in right at the end. Somebody was asking if your Sam Darnold tweet was bashing Lance, and we both said we didn't think so, that it was just bashing Sam Darnold. But we're pretty sure you like Lance, even if maybe you like Purdy a little bit better. But I know you like them both. You're like me. I like them both. I like the idea of Lance, what he could be better. But, we're just lucky to have them both, I think, ultimately. So I don't have to hate one to like the other, it turns out, folks. It's a novel idea. More of us should try that. But thanks for showing up, everybody. Thanks, Bash. And let's say go Niners and peace out.
You're welcome. Shout out to Werowski. Just saw the chat. You're late, bro. Go Niners.